one more time. Hello everyone, welcome to DoaGF, my YouTube channel, and I'm gonna cover a series of mathematical competitions. We're gonna start with the ones that are happening here in United States, the preliminary stages before you can get into the team, and then like further you hopefully can go for an IMO, and then I truly hope that you enjoy it. So first I'm gonna start with the AMC. So for those of you who know what AMC is, this is like the very first exam. This is like usually like a type of multiple choice questions, and then you would have AME, which you have 15 questions that you have to write the answer, and it's usually a number. It's a 3-digit number that you have to put in. Then there would be a competition which is called USAMO or USJMO, where you would see 6 questions in 2 days. So we're gonna go over that when it comes the time for that. And then they have like a summer school, and then there would be MOP. So I would set up another session to explain all the process. But for now, let's just start on the very first one. So I'm gonna go over the past 10 years of competition. We start with AMC 2010. I'm gonna start at the 12A. So this is more on the higher level of the AMC. It goes from class A and then like to the up to the class 12. But you would see if you come along with me, these are not that hard, and then you can grasp the idea, and then you can like enjoy what we are doing here. All right. So now let's start with the first problem. So I haven't seen the problems, so I'm gonna like solve them as I see them. So please forgive me if I have like a typo, errors, but hopefully that helps you how to approach a problem. So that's what I want to teach you today. I want to teach you how to think about these problems and not being afraid of those. And that doesn't mean that we can solve all the problems. So this is going to be the most realistic way of like solving the problem. So I haven't really prepared. I mean, I should have maybe. This is just a try, but this is how I'm teaching my classes, and I've had like many good students, very successful ones. So hopefully this method would help you also to get into these competitions. So the first question is the following. It's rather easy, but okay, so first let me write it down. Minus 201 parenthesis plus 2010 minus 201 minus 20. Okay, so they ask you to calculate the following expression. So in reality, this is not hard. Like you can just like literally do all the parentheses and figure out what's going on. But usually in this type of competition, you don't have enough time. So what you want to do is simplify things before you start. So that's one of the tricks. So let's just like try to see how we can simplify it without actually calculating it. So you see, so here I need to remove the parentheses, and then like each time that I'm doing that, I would need to expand the sign inside. So then I would get 20, and then you get minus 2010, and then minus minus becomes plus 21. And then now what do you have over there? So you have plus 2010, and then you have minus 201, and then minus times minus becomes a plus. You get a plus 20 here. Note that there's a plus here, so if you expand this, you get plus this, plus times minus is minus this guy, and then you expand it inside, so you get minus 201, and then minus times minus is 20. So I know that this is simple, but I'm just like explaining that for the sake of the simplicity and the completeness. So this 2010 would cancel out, this 201 cancels out, and then you get 20 plus 20, that gives you 40. So make sure to do this smart way, because this is number one. You want to do it as quickly as possible. So that should give me C. So let me check the answer, make sure that I got the right one. You don't want to be wrong. Okay, so that's good. So we're good to go. Number two. All right, so before I jump into number two, I truly recommend you to set a time and do this test before coming and like looking at my solutions. And it doesn't matter if you solve all the problems or not, or any of the problems, like, but give yourself a little bit of time to think about the problem, see what that problem is, and all those problems are on the Art of Problem Solving. So there's a web page called Art of Problem Solving, and I'm gonna like put this down as well in the comments, so you can like look at it and then like look at. It's a very popular one. If you've been into any of the IMO classes, you will see that this is like one of the things that everybody's talking about. There are plenty of resources there. So give yourself time to think about these problems before coming here and looking at this. But if you haven't had a chance, you can simply pause the video and then before like going to the solutions, so you can like look at it and think about the problem, at least for 5 minutes before you start. Okay, so let's just move on to number 2. So number 2 is rather long, so I'm only gonna read it here. So let me just like see what the problem is and then I explain that to you. Okay, so I'm gonna write down the most important information first, then I'm gonna explain that to you what these things are. So because I need to read it first myself. I haven't seen the problems yet. Okay, make sure to read the question at least twice. You don't want to miss any of these because just you misread the question. So that's why it's taking a little bit longer for me to read this completely. So let me just read it one more time, make sure what that is, and then I'm gonna describe that to you. Sorry for the pause. Okay, so here's the question. So you have a ferry that starts working on exactly at 10 a.m. And it takes the tourist around the river, and it does it every hour. So the very first one is 10, then 11, and then 12, and so on and so forth. And then the last one would go exactly at 3 p.m. So 3 p.m. is the last round that the boat takes the tourists to go around the river. So on one day, the captain noticed that at 10 a.m. you have 100 people on the board, and every other hour you have one less person on the board. And the question is like, how many tourists have visited the river on that day? So, okay, so let's just do this. So if you want to be quick, so there are multiple ways to be smart or quick, but I would say the quickest way is like, okay, so it only goes from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. You can just list them. So of course, if you list them, like you get like what? So the first one goes 10 a.m., then 11, then 12, then 1 p.m., and then you have 2 p.m., and then the last one is 15 p.m. So now, like the first one has like 100 people. Next one has like 100 people minus 1, 100 people minus 2. Like each one of them has one less than before, minus 4, and then you have 100 minus 5. All right, cool. So how many people do you have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you get 6 times 100. And then now you can subtract those. Like, see, I can like always like make this 99, 98, 97, but then I would have trouble adding them. So the easiest way is just like, okay, so at first I add like these hundreds and then I subtract the 1. So you want to subtract 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5. Well, you know from your math, like there are 2 ways to do this. I'm going to show this to you. So, but this sum is either you can calculate it, okay, so you get like a 10, 15. But there's another easier way to do this. If you sum 1 plus da 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 and then like you reach n, where here n is 5, so we're gonna show that this summation is equal to n times n plus 1 over 2. But before we dive into that, and maybe I'll just do it like in another session, let's just verify this. So what will happen if I plug 5 here? So 1 plus da 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 plus 5, then it should be 5 times 5 plus 1 divided by 2, which is equal to 5 times 6 divided by 2, which is 15. So I get exactly 15 here. So that's good, right? So for now, just remember this formula. I mean, of course, there's a reason why we are having this. I'm not gonna go over the details of all the solutions, so I'm gonna like give you the ideas. Maybe in another session when I'm like covering the induction or like showing you how Gauss did this. Well, actually, I can show you like how Gauss did this. So, but let me just finish the problem. So, in that sense, you get like a 1600 minus 15. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You don't want to make a mistake here. So you get like a 585. So, and that is A. So the correct answer is A. Hopefully you still see that like that. I know that my plan might just covering it, but that's my favorite body over there. I have a few of them, I like them. But okay, that's another story. So let's see So it started at 10 a.m. until 3 p.m. So you can like easily list them, like for each of them, like you start with 100. So you can like think about this and try to formulate this for any hour, but that takes too much of time. This is like a competition. You want to do it as fast as possible. So the best way is like you have 100, 100 minus 1, and then like to 100 minus 5. Okay, so now a quick thing. How did I know that summation? Like how would I know that 1 plus plus n is equal to what I said over there, right? So this way of like proving this formula is actually due to Gauss. So let's just call this to be star, right? So nothing would hurt if I, instead of writing it this way, like 2 plus plus n minus 1 plus n, I can write it like on the backward, like n plus n minus 1 plus plus 2 plus 1. So if you do it that way, so if I only do it that way, then what am I gonna get? Right. So you need to group these. So if I group these, so again this should be exactly star. So it's the same thing. I just rewrote it in the backward format. So now you have. Now let's just group them together. If I group them, the one on the top with the one on the bottom, so this gives me n plus 1. Surprisingly, this gives me n plus 1 as well, right? And actually, all these terms, they become n plus 1, and then you get n plus 1. But this is like a star plus a star, so you should get like a, let's just call this to be x. So you get 2 times x. But then on this side, you have n buckets of n plus 1, which is equal to n times n plus 1, equal to 2x. So this implies that x is equal to n times n plus 1 divided by 2. So from now on, I'm going to use it, so I'm not going to like prove it anymore. Alright, so let's jump to the next question. You know, we don't have enough time. I'll try to be as quick as possible. I truly want to finish one of these completely, which is 25 questions, which is probably not going to happen in one session, but at least in 2 sessions. So, and then we have 12B as well. So every year should take 4 sessions. Hopefully I post a video soon so you can enjoy it. All right, next one. Number 3. Okay, so the question is as follows. So you have 2 rectangles. One is the EFGH. The other is ABCD. So what the question is saying is that like this area, let's just give it a name. So what name do you like? I mean, X is always a good thing. So let's just call X, right? Or like maybe we can like actually give it like another point to these guys. So we have A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So this could be I and this could be J, right? So the question is telling me that the area, and then I'm gonna show the area like with this notation. So this is just a notation. So it's just saying that the area of the ABCD divided by the area of the AIJD is 50%. So this part is like half of this, and also you know that the other way around. Of course, ABCD is bigger, so you cannot have that. So, and then this guy is AIJD, and then you have like the area of the AIJD divided by the area of the EFGH, and this is given at 20%. So this area is 1/5 of this, and this area is like 1/2 of this. And the question is, what is AB over AD? So the question is to find AB divided by AD. All right, so what do we have here? Good. So in order for this area to be half of this area, you need this area to be equal to this area. So what that really tells you is that the AI is equal to, oh, okay, I need to use another color so you will see what I'm talking about. So you know that like the AI is equal to IB. So I is the half of AB and J is like half of DC. All right, so now you know that this one is 1/5 of this area. So like what's the area of a rectangle? You can write it down as, like, let me just write down the area of the rectangle. So the area of the AIJD is really the length AI times the length AD. And then the bigger one is the AB times AD. Here, these two will cancel out, and then you know that AI is like half of AB. All right, so how about the other one? So let's just do the same thing. You just write down the area. So what's the area of the AIJD? So simply it's AI times AD again. So it's AI times AD. And then you would have the area of the EFGH is like EF times EH. EF times EH. But note that this is a rectangle. So if I draw things that are perpendicular to both sides, so this length AI and DJ and EF and AHJ are all equal to each other, right? So in that sense, so EF is equal to AI. So I can cancel these two, and this tells me that AD to EH is 20%. So let me just rewrite it here. So on one hand, I have AI divided by AB is equal 1/2. And on the other hand, I have AD over EH is equal to 20%, which is 1/5. And now the question is like, what is AB over EH? So something is missing. Give me 1 second. Did I do this correctly? Okay. AI is half of AB, that's correct. And AD is 1/5 of EH, so that's also correct. And now the question is, what is AB to? Oh, okay, so I was missing one very important part of the question, and that is the EFGH is a square. So this one is a rectangle, but then EFEH is a square. So being a square, it means that like EH is equal to EF is equal to FG. So what will happen if you divide these two equations by each other? If I divide the two by each other, so what I'm gonna get is, okay, so you get 1/2 divided by 1/5, and then you get AI over AB. Actually, I want to divide them, maybe I should multiply them. Let's just multiply them, because you want somehow to AI and EH cancel out each other. Let's just do it this way. Okay, from 1 tells me that the AI is equal to half of AB. But I know that this is a square, so AI is EF and EF is EH, so this is equal to EH, but then EH, and I wrote this in the wrong way. Oh, right, this was AD divided by EH. What am I doing? Okay, so AI is like EH, and the number 2 tells me that EH is 5 times AD. So this is 5 times AD. So, alright, so this tells me that the AD divided by AB is equal to 1/2 times 5, which is 1/10. Okay, so, so they were asking about, okay, so now this is bad. So they're asking about AB over AD. So they asked 1 over this. So if AD over AB is 1/10, then AB over AD would be 10. So they asked this to be 10. Okay, so this problem was a little bit longer than what I wanted. So, but like if you want to do it in the quickest way possible, so here's what you do. So this is half of this. So this AI is like half of this. But AI is EF, and that's exactly EH. And you know that this guy is like 1/5 of this. So this guy is 1/5 of this. So it's 1/5 of this. So it's 1/5 of this. So this AD is 1/5 of AI, and this is half of this. So this AD is like 1/10 of AB. So AB over AD, that's equal to 10. All right. So now, next question, number 4. So the answer is 10. I hope that you understood what I said. I did my best. Well, it gets harder as we go on. So if these things are easy for you, you can just simply move on to the next question. You don't have to wait. So some of these problems are easy for you guys, so you don't have to wait. but I'm just trying to go over all of the problems. So number 4, if x is less than 0, which one of the following is positive? X divided by the absolute value of x minus x to the power x minus 2 to the power x and minus x to the power minus 1 and square root of x, not the cube root of x. Okay, so well, you can think about this and try to prove it in the right way, but the easy way is just plug a number, right? So plug a number and any of them becomes negative, so that's out of the question, and then you can just move on with whatever you want. And if I want to do that, like, why would I choose something hard, right? So the easiest one is usually 1, right? So let's just plug minus 1. If I plug minus 1, because that has to be negative, so what's this one? Minus 1, absolute value of 1 is 1, so it's negative 1, so this cannot be the answer. And then you have minus 1 to the power minus 1. Okay, so this gets a little bit crazy, but look at it. This guy here is also minus 1 to the power minus 1. So the good thing is, like, if you find this one, then you already figured out this one. Of course, if I get this to be positive, I cannot just like exclude both of them at the same time. So bear with me for a moment and see what we have. Okay, so what is this guy? This means that when you have something to the power of negative, so a to the minus b, that's equivalent to 1 over a to the power b. So that's the definition of negative. So whenever you see a negative here, it's just nothing more than like 1 over a to the power b. So you're calculating minus, so this would be your a and your b is 1, so it's just 1 over minus 1, correct? So this becomes plus 1, minus 1, and then this becomes plus 1. Okay, so we cannot refute this. So, all right, well, that's what you can do. So the same sense, you cannot refute this one. So let's just see what will happen on this one. So still a question mark here, still a question mark here. Okay, so now, what is this guy? Minus 2 to the power minus 1. So as I said, let's just do it the simplest way. So minus 2 to the minus 1 is nothing more than 1 divided by 2 to the 1. It's just a half, and this becomes negative half. And this is a negative, so you can cross this. So that's not our solution. And now we get to this one. What's the cube root of negative 1? Okay, so you're looking for an alpha, the cube root of negative 1. And the alpha to the power 3 should equal to negative 1. That's the definition of cube root. It's the same way with the square. So you're looking for a number, after raising it to the power 3, it gives you negative 1. So what could be that number? One simple answer of this is negative 1, right? Negative 1 to the power 3, i.e. negative 1 times negative 1 times negative 1 is already equal to negative 1. So you know that negative 1 is an answer. So this could be equal to negative 1, so that's negative. So that's not my answer either. Alright, so I still have 2 more that I have to figure out what to do with it. Okay, so let me just erase this part. My bad, this was x to the power 2. I'm so sorry about this mistake, because that was like x to the power minus 2. So for x to the power minus 2, you can have like minus 1 to the power 2. It is minus 1 times minus 1, which gives you 1, and then you have a negative 1, so this equals to negative 1. So you can exclude this one, so your answer is this one. But let me show you why that would be the case. X to the minus 1 is 1 over x, and you have a negative here, so it gives you negative 1 over x. This is negative, x is also negative, and if you divide two negative numbers, you can actually write this as 1 minus x. Your minus x is positive, you're dividing two positive numbers, so this is going to be bigger than 0. So the answer is like A, B, C, D. This is D. So answer is D. Okay, and this was problem number 4. My bad. Okay, so let's just move on to number 5. And I'm almost half of the time, and I haven't even finished 15 problems. Okay, I have to go a little bit faster. Again, my goal is like to show you the proof for all of them. As much as possible, I go to the details, but there's almost like that much that you can do. So number 5. I still do not understand the question. Now I'm not sure if I understand this question. Okay, now I see. Sorry, it took me some while to understand the question, but you have to read the question so as long as you understand the details. So what it really says is the following. So Chelsea is going into a competition that if you hit the center, you get 10 points. And then if it's not exactly center, you get 8 points, and then you get 4 points, and then you get 2 points, and then you get 0 points if you're hitting outside. So it's 10, 8, 4, 2. And we know that she always gonna hit at least 4. So the max is 10 and at least 4. And at the and there are total of like 100 shots. So she has 100 shots. She's like playing with other people, and we know that she always score at least 4. And the scores are like 10, 8, 4, 2. So we know that currently, we don't know which round this is, but like currently she leads with at least 50 points. Okay, so if somebody comes and tell you like, okay, she for the next n shots, where we don't know what n is, she's gonna hit the center. Okay, for the next n shot, she's gonna hit the center, so that gives her at least 10 times n points. Correct? And then let's say we are at the stage. So we have So well, let me just give you the question first before I jump in to the answer. So she leads with at least 50 points. She always hit at least 4, so it's either 4, 8, or 10. And there's 100 rounds there. So we are somewhere in the middle of the competition, and we know that she's leading with 50 points. So she leads with 50 points, and we know that the next n shots are all good. So she's gonna get 10 points for them. The question is, what's the minimum number of n that guarantees she's gonna win this competition? So winning this competition, what does it mean? So, all right, so we have to put down like all the details that we know. So you need to have to make some assumption, like pick up the best variable. So the very first move is that like, okay, so she leads with 50 score, but like which round is that in the competition? So let's assume that you're in round R. You're in round R and she leads with 50. Okay. And then for the next n shots, she's gonna get at least 10 points, right? So note that the rivals, they can also like shoot 10. So one of the chances is also like they're shooting 10. And then like after the next n rounds, so how many rounds are remaining? There are like only 100 minus n minus r rounds. So there are that many rounds that are remaining, correct? And then now, so in that situation, so in order for the competitors to come back and in order, or like the other way around of like saying that like she doesn't win the game, it means that the competitors have enough time to come back. So they have 100 minus n minus r times that to cover this 50 points lag, right? So note that like in this next n rounds, whatever that n is, right? Suppose that like you have like some guy who's just like actually scoring all 10. So the lead has not changed even after r plus n rounds. You still have like a 50. So this is Chelsea, like she gets like a 10, and let's say the competitor also gets 10, right? So you only have 100 minus n minus r to compensate for 50 points that you're lagging. But how many points can you gain every round? So the best case, if the competitor hits 10, and then we know that the Chelsea is always like hitting 4 at least. So the just like in one of the cases that can happen is like she's like hitting 4. Of course she can do better, but we don't know if she does better. The question doesn't specify that. So we assume the worst case scenario for Chelsea, and we want to see the best scenario for the rival, and then we want to see under that case if the rival is gonna win or not. So the rival gets 6, correct? So the best that one can get is 6. So, and then you want to cover 50, correct? So in order to cover 50, so just divide 50 by 6, you get like 8 times something, right? So you get like 8 and something. So, because like 6 times 8 is like 48, so you have like a 2 over 6, which is 1/3, so just like actually 8.333, right? So you need at least 9 rounds, correct? So I need at least 9 rounds before being able to win against Chelsea. So if this 100 minus n minus r is less than 8, right? There is no way for this guy to come back. Because each round he can come back at most 6, so he needs at least 9 rounds. So the only way that for this to be guaranteed for a win for Chelsea is that the 100 minus n minus r is less than 8. Okay, so now we simplify the question. So now the question is like, what's the minimum n that guarantees that the 100 minus n minus r is always less than 8? So that tells you you want to have 100 minus 8, which is 92, is less than or equal to n plus r. Okay, so, but we don't know what r is. If we knew what r is, then n would be 92. So the problem solved. So now what is r? Okay, so now when we do this type of question, so we know that Chelsea has a 50 points lead, correct? It took her some time to get that lead, right? So, i.e., in other words, you're looking for n bigger than or equal to 92 minus r. The minimum value of n depends on the maximum value of r, right? So they're asking what's the minimum value of n, right? So we know that n plus r is need to be bigger than n plus 92 for Chelsea to be guaranteed to win in this game. But you're looking for the minimum n that does this guarantee. So what truly this means is that, like, okay, you want to pick an n that always satisfies this equation no matter what your r is, right? So you're asking for the biggest r. Let me just think. You want to find the biggest r. No, you want to find the minimum r, right? So you want to guarantee that Chelsea always win, correct? So you want to find the minimum r. Why are you looking for the minimum r? Because the minimum r gives the case that you need at least that n. Let's just like go on with this and then we come back and explain what I mean. Let's just say that like you're looking for the minimum r, right? So what's the minimum r? Okay, so what we said was like Chelsea after the round r, she has a 50 points lead. Okay, in order to get a 50 points lead against a rival, the best that you can do is like 5 times Chelsea hitting a 10 and your rival is like hitting a 0. So every time you get a 10 points lead. So this r is at least 5. If this r is at least 5, and actually it can be 5, right? So at the end of the 5th one, like your Chelsea gets a lead. So then you know that your n, at least in one case, should be bigger than 92 minus 5. So that gives you 87. All right, so let me give you back the scenario. So the scenario is as follows. Suppose that like for the first 5 rounds, Chelsea wins 10 and the rival wins 0. So that gives a 50 lead to Chelsea. Then, so let's just pick, this is Chelsea, let's say the rival is me, this is Bezat, okay? So if for the next 87, right? So both Chelsea and we score exactly 10 points. So the lead will still remain 10. So this is the shortest time to get 50 lead. And for the next 87, we're gonna keep that lead. She shoots to the center, I also shoot to the center, right? So how many is remaining, right? So 92, you have 8 more rounds. So I only have 8 more rounds to like turn this back. But for the next 8 rounds, Chelsea always go at least 4, and the best that I can do is 10. So I can take this lead down -6 every time. 8 times -6 is 48, so I can reach this to 2. So I can reach this to +2, but I cannot do better, right? So since this is a viable setup, you know that the minimum that you truly need is 87. Because if this wasn't 87, if this was 86, right? If Chelsea only does a good job in 86 of them, then I have 9 chances. And during these 9 chances, suppose that like just happens that all of them Chelsea goes 4 and I go 10, and in that case I can recover and win the game. So for Chelsea to be guaranteed, she needs at least 87. So if I want to start from the beginning, so you would say that like, you need to introduce the right variable. The right variable is like, what's the current situation? Let's say that you're in run R, and then there's another n run that she goes all in. So she goes like all 10. And then there are like 100 minus n minus r remaining rounds. And under that set, I need to compete her. So for her to be guaranteed that she wins, like she should not lose her lead. So every time she can lose -6, and then she cannot lose more than 50 points. So this should be less than 50. Right? So like every time she loses 6 points, like it cannot be less than 50. And then you divide 50 by 6, you get 8 and a something. So this cannot be bigger than 9, right? So we see that like, I mean, for Chelsea to always like win in this game, this has to be bigger than 9 or the other way around. This has to be less than 8, sorry. For Chelsea to win the game and guaranteed to win the game, because if she has 9 spot and in all of those 9s she's gonna lose -6, she's gonna lose the lead by 54, right? So for her to be guaranteed winning, this needs to be less than 8. What that really means is like n plus r is always bigger than 92. So you want to find an n here that always works. So if I want to find an n that always works, I need to find the minimum r here, because like if I find the minimum r, then n has to be bigger than 92 minus r. Like yes, and then how would you find minimum r? That's the minimum rounds that you can get 50 lead. In order to get a 50 lead, the best outcome is like Chelsea get 10, I get 0. So you need at least 5 rounds. So the minimum R is 5. For that 5, the minimum N is 87. If R is bigger, N can go lower, but in order to guarantee this situation, you need at least R equal to 5, which gives you N is at least 87. So let me check the answer. Sorry if this was like a little bit confusing. Hopefully you can replay back and then check it. Alright, so okay, so this is one of those cases that you didn't read the question correctly, and that's not good. That's not good. Okay, so I complicated the problem for no good reason because I did not read the question correctly, and that's bad. Make sure that you read the question at least correctly, because that's a must. So it was stated in the question that it's already in round 50, halfway through this, at round 50, you know that she has a 50 lead. So there are 50 games remaining, and for the next n rounds, she guarantees to hit 10, and I hit 10 as well. So the lead will remain the same, and then there are 50 minus n rounds remaining that I need to gain back the rivalry. So this cannot be bigger than 8, because if this is bigger than 8, then I have 9 times minus 6, 9 times minus 6, which is equal to minus 54. So if I have 9 chances, and if Chelsea screw each of them and I did the best, and then I have like I get like minus 4. So I can take the lead from her. For her being guaranteed, it means that this 50 minus n should be less than 8, which this means that n is bigger than equal to 50 minus 8 equal to 42. So note that it's nothing different than here, but this R is given. R is given as 50, so you get 92 minus 50, we give you 42. So we solve a more general question, so in essence it was an interesting one to solve. So I'm gonna leave it there for you to see. So they're telling you that R is 50, so n is bigger than 92 minus 50, which gives you 42, or C. So the right answer is C, and that's for Chelsea. Okay. Now, next question. All right, spent too much on this one. Okay, so here's the question. A number is called palindrome, like this one, 8, 3, 4, 3, 8. So a number is palindrome if you reverse it, it still is the same. If I just reverse it, like 8 goes first, and then you go 3, and then 4, and then 3 and 8. So it is still the same number. It's symmetric with respect to the middle. So you have a number x, which is a 3-digit. You have a number x plus 32, which is a 4-digit number. And you know that like both of these two numbers are palindrome. And now the question is, what's the sum of the digits of x? Okay, so how would we approach this? So first you have to introduce the correct variables. So let's say it has 3 digits. So we know that it's 3 digits. So it's ABC. So we know that A is not 0 because this has a 3 digits. And then you add 32 to it. And this has to be a palindrome, right? So being a palindrome and being 3, if you reverse this, it should remain the same. So if this is ABC, this C is actually A, correct? And if x plus 32 is EFGH, you know that if you reverse it, it would be the same, right? If you reverse this, you get HGEF. So the only way for this to be a palindrome, so this truly have to be F, this truly has to be H. So i.e. your, sorry, no, that was wrong. So you get HGFE. So you need to have exactly H is equal to E, G equal to F, i.e. this is only palindrome if it's of the type EFFE. Okay, so we simplified two of the assumptions. The next assumption is that like x plus x plus 32, it gives you that. So you know that ABA, you add 32. Okay, so you get A plus 2 as the first digit. You may or may not have a carry, so let's just think about it for a moment. We don't know whether you have a carry or not, but let's just keep it. And then you have B plus 3. You see, the only way for this to become a 4-digit, right? You should have a carry from here to here. And this guy has to give 1 over there, correct? And the maximum carry that you can get is like, if this is 3 and if this was 9, you can get only 1 carry here. So this A has to be 9. Like, if this is like 8, you get only 1 carry, you get at most 9. You can never get a 4 digit. So that tells you that A is equal to 9, right? So now let's just substitute 9, because now it's much easier to solve this. So if I plug 9 here, and then 9 here, so now I have 9 plus 2, so you get 1. It should be 1, right? You want to get EFFE, and if it goes from 3 digits to 4 digits, you know that your E is 1, so you already knew that this was 1. So that's good. 9 plus 2 is 1. You have a carry of 1 here. So here you get like a B plus 4. And you know that this needs to give me a carry into this one. But if I give 1 to this guy, right? 9 plus 1, it gives me 10. So you get 10 for sure here. So this B plus 4, whatever is here, that has to give you the same thing. So this B plus 4 should be 10, right? So you want to get a 0, and then you want to get 1 carry over there. So B plus 4 should be 10, or B should be 6. Now let's just give it a shot. 969 plus 32, right? 2 plus 9 is 1. 1 goes up, you get 0, and then you get 1 up, and then you get 10. So this is a palindrome, this is also a palindrome, and that solves the question. So the answer would be 9 plus 9 plus 6, you get 1524. And that's E. So, right, give it the correct formula, give it the correct variables, and then after that it's just like a matter of like being cautious. So you get 9 plus 2, you have to have a 1 up there, and this 1 plus B plus 4 needs to give a 1 up here, and 1 plus, that was A, and you have to pick A to be 9, otherwise you cannot get a 4 digit. And once you get a 4 digit, it's only 9 plus 1, so the last two are 10. You already know that your last number is 1001. So having 1001, you can subtract 32, you get 969, and then the rest is like history. Alright, so going on, I'll try to tell you like some good stories so that the class won't be that boring. Just like solving problems, like but this is just the very first one. I think I'm almost running out of time. Maybe I'll do one more problem. And then like I'll try to give you some stories. So with this speed, I don't think that I can wrap up all of them. So maybe every year I'll just do one AMC, because I want to move to, I'm probably gonna skip AME for now. I explained to you why I'm gonna do that, but then I want to move to USOM and USJMO. So those are more interesting competition, and then after that we hopefully gonna cover some of the IMOs. Those are like hard. It's been a while that I haven't done that. I don't know if I can actually do it again or not, but number 1 and 4 are easy, so one can do it easily. Just 2 and 4 are needs like some digging, and number 3 and 6, good luck with that. You have to be in shape. All right, so number 7, there's just one more, and then yeah, we have 24, so this is gonna take a while before I can finish it, but let me finish here. So at least you would have your first session. You have 7 problems, not bad. Okay, so what's the question? Okay, so Logan is constructing a water tank for his town. The top part is a sphere, and this is 40-meter long. So this is 40-meter long. We know that the capacity is like 100,000 liters. Okay, so the real container looks like this. It is 40-meter long, and it contains, and it's a sphere on the top, and it has 100,000 liters. And he's like building a miniature model scale of his town. So he's building like a small one here, right? So the question is saying that like, okay, so we know that the one that is smaller, it only holds 0.1 liter. So it's much smaller, am I right? So it's the 0.1 liters, yes. So it's very smaller. Of course, you cannot like build the same thing. So he's like creating like a smaller one. So the question is like, how tall is this miniature one? So here's the thing. If I have something that is of the one dimension, and if it's like a 20 meter, right? So let's say if you have a square. If I have a square, conceptually, I want to like tell you what happens. If I have a square, so what will happen to the area if I scale it down, right? So if this is 1, 1, and this is half, half, right? So what will happen to the area? So the area is 1 times 1, right? So I'm just multiplying it by half. So I'm bringing it down by half. So the area is 1 times 1, but then here it becomes half times half. Each of length and width of this square, both of them multiplied by half, so your area goes down by 1/4. So the same way, if you do it for a cube, so if I have a cube, and I'll tell you why I'm like saying this in a moment. So if I have a cube, and if I scale it down by a factor of half, right? So what's the area of a cube? So rectangular cube. So you have A times B times C. But if each of these goes to half, this goes to A/2, B/2, and then C/2, right? So each of them are halved, right? So you like scale it down. So each direction goes down by 2. So the volume goes down by a quarter. 1/8, correct? So if I scale this down by 1/k, correct? And this was like 40. So we know that this was 40 meter. So this goes to be 40/k. So far so good, but we don't know what k is. But what will happen to the volume? I don't need to calculate the volume of the sphere. I mean, you know that the volume of the sphere is 4 pi r to the power cube. So you can divide it by 4 pi and then take a cube root to find it, but you don't truly need to do that yet, right? The volume goes down, as we spoke. Each direction is going to divide by 2 or k, in this case k, so you get 1/k to the power 3. That's even better because it's a little bit simpler. Why is that so? Because I know that 100,000 divided by k to the power 3 is equal to 0.1. I know that we start with 100,000 liters and we end up with 0.1 liter. So that means that k to the power 3 is equal to, this is 10 to the 5, and then I'm dividing it by, so dividing it like this is 1 over 10. So you can write it down as 1 over 10. So 10 multiplied by this, you get 10 to the 6. So this guy is like a 10 to the 6. So this means that k is 10 to the power 2. So you just like divide the power by 3. So you get 10 to the 2. But if k is 10 to the 2, you're looking for 40 divided by 100. So it should be 0.4 meter or 40 centimeter. So and then you get like a why isn't this the part of the oh, it's C. Yeah, I'm blind. C. 0.4. Okay, not bad. Right, so I'm in the mood. So let me solve one more problem for you. Alright, so we are back with problem 8. Welcome back. Hope that you enjoyed the problem so far. For some of you this might be too hard, and for the others this might be too easy. Hopefully I can find the right balance. My goal is like to show you all the solutions, and I want to go over at least the past 10 years of problems. Okay, good. Number 8. It's my favorite topic, geometry. Triangle ABC has AB. Okay, so for geometry, you have to draw a nice one, and you have to use multiple colors. If you want to be successful with geometry, there's no other way. And you always like draw one small one, and then you figure out what the question is, and then like you go and like change it. So I have like some triangle ABC, and I know that AB is equal to 2. 2 times AC. So let's just give it a name. Now the names are gonna go with the smaller letters. So you have like you know that AB is equal to 2 times AC. AB is C is equal to 2 times AC, which is B. So you know that this is twice as much as this guy. So as clearly this is not in my picture, so I have to clean it, but no worries. As I said, you draw one and then you draw a new one. And let DE be on AB and BC. So we have a point on AB, and then we have a point on AC. BC. So E is here. So E is here, D is here. And then what's the question? Such that the angle BAE is equal to ACD. That's bizarre. And let F be the intersection of the segments AE and CD. So that is your F. You see, this picture is not good. I have to clean it. I'll do it in a moment. Oh wow. And suppose that CFE is equilateral. So we know that CFE here is equilateral, which is definitely not the case here. And then now the question is, what is ACB? Perfect. Okay, good. So now it's time to draw a nice picture. So the very first thing, AB should be twice as AC. So we know that I was wrong, and now I'm gonna draw a big one because I know that the problems is gonna be interesting. So you have A, B, C. The problem tells you that C is equal to 2B. So there are a couple of ways to see that, but the easiest way to see it is just, okay, so this is twice as this, so I'm gonna take the half, let's just call it M. Now I know that this guy is equal to this guy, equal to this guy, so that's given. So, and then I know that in this picture that is not quite true, so I'm gonna pick another point that makes it more true. So I'm gonna make it a little bit higher. So, and that's like how you go about solving these problems. You need to have a correct picture in order to get an intuition. Okay, we find a point D here such that this angle is equal to this angle here. So, and also we want this guy to be equilateral. All right, to get an equilateral, so first I'm gonna draw an equilateral because that's easier to do. So let's just draw an equilateral here. If this is supposedly my equilateral, and I know that like this has to pass through A, okay, so maybe I make it a little bit bigger so that it actually passes through A. So then this would be my AE, right? And then this has to be my point F, and this is gonna be my D. And like, okay, so in my picture, this angle here is not exactly equal to this one, but it's fair enough. It's a fair game. Like you cannot like draw the exact one because you don't know it yet. But we started with the things that we can actually draw. So let's just check the problem one more time. So AB is twice as AC, so that's in the picture. And then you have BAE, and E is on the BC, which is correct. D is on the AB, which is also correct. So you have BAE is equal to ACD. You have ACD, correct? So this angle is equal to this angle, that's also given. And F is the intersection of AE with CD, and I have this as an equilateral. The question is, what is ACB? The question is like, what's the biggest angle here? Like, what's this guy here? So you know that this is equilateral, so this is 60. So I'm gonna use another color again, because you don't wanna like confuse yourself. Like this picture is gonna get like a little bit crazy. So this is 60. This is 60, and this is also 60. All right, so now, what do we know? Let's just call this guy to be alpha, and then this becomes alpha 2. And then the question is really, what is alpha plus 60? So if I find alpha, then I have the answer to that one as well. So now this requires a little bit of thinking. So what can we do here? Okay. And how to use that information? Okay. So you need to use some of the information. The very first one is that like when you have such a thing that is alpha and alpha, how would you use that? The usage comes from this picture. So there are, like always in those questions, there are things and parts that are deleted from the problem. And so what is the part that is deleted from here? So if you have an angle in a circle, right? And if this is alpha, you know that this arc is 2 times alpha. But what's more important is that if you like look at it like from any other side, so this is also alpha, and that's like how you define your circle. Moreover, if you draw a tangent to this circle at this point, this angle is also half of this, i.e. like, and let me just draw another picture so it becomes like more clear for you. So let's just have any angle and draw a tangent here. So what I'm saying is that like this angle here is equal to this guy here, and it's equal to half of this, right? So you can prove that for yourself. The thing is like, okay, so if you call this guy to be A, and this is B, and this is C, correct? And this is angle C, this is point A, and this is point B. So B is like this arc here. So this arc is 2B, right? And then, what's the easiest way to do this? Okay, maybe. could I convince you that this is equal to that? Okay, so all right, so the way to sort of tell you that that is the true is the only way that I can see as the easy way to show it. If you don't know this fact, please look at it in the Google or something. But if you draw a parallel line here, so what will happen if I draw a parallel line? So since these two lines are parallel to each other, this circle is symmetric with respect to these two lines. So this arc here is exactly this arc here, correct? But then this angle here is equal to this arc here. But we know that these two are parallel, so this is equal to this, but this arc is equal to this guy. So this is x, that gives you exactly x, but this is parallel, so this is equal to this, so this is also x. But we know that if this is x, so this is equal to this guy here. So this is equal to this guy. All right, so, and then this is the similar situation. So what tells me is that if I draw the circumcircle of AFC, in this case is not that nice, but you have to do it the best that you can do. If I draw this circle, right, it's going to be tangent to this line. That's just because this angle is equal to this angle. It's just the same thing. This guy equal to this guy, so this is tangent, and that's the arc that is equal. So this arc, which shows this angle here, and then you have tangent, so this is equal to this. So that was the circle that was removed, and that has to be tangent to this guy A. All right, so now we sort of found a way to use it, but we haven't quite used it. So how am I gonna use this fact? So you need to sort of find a connection between the points. So when you get a tangent, the only thing that should come to your mind is the power of a point. What's the power of a point? I truly hope that you know this because I cannot go over everything in the okay, let me give it a shot because I only have a few minutes. Let me see if I can finish this. So, all right, so now you see there are things from the picture that were deleted and you have to guess it and use it. So if I want to go back and see how they came up with this picture and then what's the math behind it, what's the background of it. So let's see how we can draw this picture. Usually if you think how you can draw a picture, you can kind of get a sense of where this started, right? So somehow they tricked you and they didn't tell you the whole story from the beginning. In my opinion, the story started with one circle. So there was a circle, and then they had this AC, correct? And now what they did is they drawing a tangent from A. Okay, so far so good. So that gives kind of a part of the picture for me. So, and this is now guaranteed that if I draw any line from here, this angle is equal to this angle. But what matters the most is that I need a equilateral triangle here. So how do I achieve that? So the question is how do I know that guy is going to be equilateral? So let's say if I draw any arbitrary line here, and if I connect this, right, and then do I get an equilateral here, right? Because that's the main point. How can I get an equilateral here? Or if you think about it the other way, if I draw an equilateral here, it's not guaranteed that's passing through A. So that is one piece of information. So if this is equilateral, this is 60, this is 60, and this is 60. So that's very important. If I draw a specific line, this has to be 60, i.e. this has to be 120. So this is not, so AC wasn't an arbitrary line. It was a line that gives me 120 here. So the fact that this is 120 is very important. So now, let's just go back and now start again. Okay, so I have my circle. I figured out that this AC is an arc that this is 120. So, all right, so I have a specific AC. I have a tangent line here. Now, if I draw any line from here, I know that this is gonna be 60 degree for sure because this is 120 degree. So I can easily draw a line that makes this an equilateral triangle because I know this, I just choose the same length. So that gives me E, and then this is equilateral, and I know that this is equal to this, and so that gives me D. So far so good. I built all my picture, but the only other part that's missing is like now I'm not guaranteed that AC is twice as much as AB. So we have not used that yet. But okay, going back to this picture, so no, I know that like this is 120 degree, correct? So what that is really, if you extend this line, right? So this angle, because this is tangent, so this is equal to this, and this whole angle A is equal to this guy here. If this is 120, this is gonna be 60. So angle A is equal to 60 degree. Good, so not bad. That's just some sort of understanding. So this is 60 degree. And then what else is 60 degree here? This guy is also 60 degree here, and this is 60 degree here. So how can we use that? All right, so now it's time to, as I told you, like this is twice as this. The easy way to see this is like half of this. So now you have to connect the points, the unknown points to the known points. The only point that you can now connect is M to C, correct? So now, because like this is a point that you figured out and it's not connected to anyone, like the best way is like to connect it to all the possibilities. Okay, so we figured out A is 60. And now here's the time to use the last part of this assumption, and that's the fact that AC is twice as AB and M was the middle. So this is equal to this. If that guy is 60, so this is also 60 and this is 60, and then that means that this is an equilateral triangle. But now being equilateral, AC is equal to CM equal to MA. We know that MA is equal to MB, so that means that MBC is isosceles. So being an isosceles, that means that like this is equal to this guy. But we know that this guy plus this guy is equal to 60. So this has to be 30. This has to be 30. That tells me that this is 90 degree. So the original picture was truly a right triangle. You could have guessed that from the beginning, that this has to be a right triangle. And the reason being that like you have a right triangle, and then if you pick the middle, this is 60 degree. This is 60 degree, this is 60 degrees, so this is equal to this, equal to this, equal to this. So one of the cases that